Click on a cloud type to find out more about it. When you have finished this section, click on the Forward button. Cumulus is the most common form of heaped or convective cloud. It has different characteristics depending on the depth of the cloud. The cloud base can range from really quite low at around 700 feet to around 7,000 feet on a hot summer's day. The depth of the cloud can be anything from 100 feet or so to several thousands of feet depending upon the stability of the air. If the cumulus cloud is fairly shallow, it probably consists mostly of water droplets. The icing risk is therefore minimal and turbulence in that cloud will be light. Visibility in the cloud will be moderate. This cloud is usually found within the first few hours after sunrise and is frequently termed fair weather cumulus. There is also very little chance of precipitation from this type of cloud. If the cumulus cloud is of great depth, the cloud is of much more importance. The cloud will be made up of water and ice, making showers very likely. The cloud will have a moderate to severe icing risk and will also have moderate or perhaps severe turbulence associated with it. Cumulonimbus clouds are very important to the Aviator. They are vigorous convective cells consisting of water droplets and also ice particles. They look like large cumulus clouds of great vertical extent in their initial stages, but develop large characteristic anvil tops as the upper part of the cloud hits the tropopause. The base of cumulonimbus clouds can vary between 500 feet to 7,000 feet, with the top of the cloud as high as 45,000 feet in the tropics. The icing risk and turbulence associated with this type of cloud is always severe. The visibility in such clouds is poor, less than 20 meters. These clouds have tremendous vertical support, and as a result, heavy hail and rain showers can be experienced. Other hazards include lightning, static discharge and erroneous instrument reading. Stratus is usually the lowest of all clouds, with a base anywhere from ground level up to around 1,200 feet. The depth of the cloud is no more than 1,000 to 1,500 feet thick, but sometimes the top merges with other layered cloud, making it difficult to distinguish the layers. This cloud is made of water droplets and has an icing and turbulence risk of nil or light. The main hazard associated with stratus is that it often covers higher ground, resulting in hill fog. Extensive stratus is usually found on nearly all fronts, and also in the warm sector of a depression. It also forms from lifted fog, due to the lack of vertical uplift and support. The cloud itself only gives light precipitation of rain, drizzle or snow. Heavier precipitation occasionally falls through stratus from thicker cloud above. Stratocumulus cloud is probably the most common form of cloud. It is a layered cloud of usually no more than 2 to 3,000 feet thick, but can be 5 to 6,000 feet deep on occasion. Its base can be as low as 1,500 feet or as high as 7,000 feet. Stratocumulus is usually made of water droplets and has a light icing and turbulence risk. However, on occasion when the temperature structure is just right, large numbers of supercooled water droplets can be present, giving a moderate, perhaps even severe icing risk with prolonged flight in the cloud. Nimbostratus is a cloud that is seldom seen from the ground. It is a thick, rain-bearing cloud that is often cloaked in other cloud, with stratus layers forming extensively beneath in precipitation. We can see here that it extends through a great depth of the atmosphere. Its base is usually between 2,000 and 5,000 feet, with a top of 15,000 or even 20,000 feet on occasion. We can see here that nimbostratus is made up mostly of water droplets. However, at higher levels, ice crystals will also be present in large numbers. It is important to realize that there is a significant risk of supercooled water droplets, which massively increases the risk of icing. The icing associated with nimbostratus cloud is therefore moderate to severe. In nimbostratus, turbulence is moderate, occasionally severe. Visibility in this type of cloud is poor, 10 to 20 meters, with prolonged heavy rain or snow frequently falling to ground level. Autocumulus is an interesting cloud in that it can take three main forms. We see here common autocumulus. Its base usually lies between 8,000 and 15,000 feet, with tops up to 20,000 or even 23,000 feet. The clouds are usually water droplets and ice crystals, and so the icing and turbulence risk associated with autocumulus is light and occasionally moderate. Visibility in autocumulus is poor to fair between 20 and 1,000 meters. There are two forms of autocumulus which are of particular importance, namely Autocumulus lenticularis and Autocumulus castellanas. Autocumulus lenticularis is found downwind of mountainous or hilly areas and is indicative of mountain wave activity. Hence, moderate, perhaps even severe turbulence can be expected in the vicinity. The icing risk in these clouds is usually greater as well. Autocumulus castellanas is a bubbly form of the normal autocumulus clouds. The towers that form with this cloud are like battlements on castles, and are easily recognized because of these features. They are important because they often herald a change to sheery, thundery weather, and are a feature of summer weather in temperate latitudes. Cumulus clouds sometimes develop from autocumulus castellanas and are caused by instability at median levels of the troposphere. Autostratus is a medium-level layered cloud comprised of ice crystals and water droplets. It can vary in thickness, but frequently gives a ground glass effect to the sun or moon, and heralds the onset of rain or snow. Autostratus is usually found between 8,000 and 15,000 feet, and can be from around 2,000 to 8,000 feet thick. If it is thicker than 8,000 feet, it is often reported as nimbostratus, although the base of nimbostratus is usually at lower levels. The visibility in autostratus is poor to fair, somewhere between 20 and 1,000 meters. And because of the lack of vertical support inherent in stratiform clouds, there is usually a light to moderate icing and turbulence risk. Cirrus is the highest of all tropospheric clouds. It is composed entirely of ice crystals and has a very fibrous appearance. It can be found between 16,500 and 45,000 feet, but it is mostly confined to between 20 and 30,000 feet. Remember that at these altitudes the air is very cold, and therefore holds very little water. The clouds created can never be of significant substance or danger. Visibility has been found to be quite good in excess of 1000 meters. And there is usually no icing or turbulence associated with this type of cloud. The cloud usually heralds the approach of a warm front. Cirrus stratus is made up of ice crystals and lies between 18,000 and 45,000 feet. It is a further warning of an approaching frontal system, and usually produces a large halo around the sun or moon. Visibility has been found to be quite good in excess of 1000 meters. And there is usually no icing or turbulence associated with this type of cloud. Cirrocumulus is quite a rare cloud. It is generally found between 20,000 and 30,000 feet and is comprised of ice crystals. There is little or no icing or turbulence associated with it. And visibility in the cloud is quite good, in excess of 1000 meters. There are also some other clouds which occasionally appear in the atmosphere, but are described purely for information purposes. These include noctilucent clouds and also nacreous clouds, both of which are found at great heights in the atmosphere. Noctilucent clouds are found around 80 to 85 kilometers altitude. Nacreous are found at around 24 kilometers altitude.